Today, we'll be reacting to a Big Tub video. Okay, let's get started. And we go.
How many times can a person get tugged? Well, we have found the limit at extratug.com, where you can see exclusive content that I say dirty things in. Go check it out. Super Bowl Sunday, the closest thing Americans can get to a real holiday without getting a day off from work. We stuff our faces with the physical embodiment of mortal sin known as buffalo chicken dip. Wash it down with a symphony of differently branded water.
Okay, see, the thing is, I don't do that. Like, I just watch the Super Bowl for the halftime show, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm a soccer fan personally, so that's why. But I thought the Kendrick and SZA live halftime show, it was okay. Like, you know, I just didn't watch the Chiefs story, to be honest, because Patrick Mahomes just comes off as a baby. But let's continue.
Adjacent light beers, all while grown men concuss themselves on the gridiron of glory. Over time, the Super Bowl has become much bigger than itself, almost a parody of what it used to be. Much to the dismay of real football fans, Super Bowl Sunday is becoming more about the...
Actually, that's nothing compared to the World Cup. Soccer, like, has a 10 times bigger, like, thing. It's called World Cup, and it's good, like... And it's big. It's like it's country. It's not just one country. It's like everybody goes to the World Cup. Like a bunch of countries, I'm saying. Football's just the U.S. though. Like the Super Bowl, whatever.
The party that surrounds the game rather than the game itself. It's the celebrities, musicians, and fanfare that we celebrate, not the genetic freaks we see on the field. Honestly, the people who show up to the Super Bowl party and actively ignore the game seem like they're having the most fun. Because they're not, you know, screaming at the TV. They didn't bet $300 on a play that obviously wasn't gonna happen. If it just hits, we can go to Disney this year, kids. But is that such a bad thing? You know, do you need to care about football to enjoy the Super Bowl? Well, let's find out just exactly where things started to head south or north. And at the same time, find out why your dad
Yes, you absolutely do. Like, the Super Bowl was miserable. I watched it with my dad. It was horrible. Like I said, just watch it for the halftime show. Like, waiting, like, the whole time for, like, maybe a 10 section that you've been waiting to watch out of the 3 hours of it or whatever, sucks. Like, if you're not there to watch football, it's usually not good. I didn't actually go to Super Bowl. I just watched it on TV, by the way.
Exclusively wears a Lions quarter zip to work while he tells you to shut the f up during the game. So once again, Chris, hit me with the flashback. We're going back in time as we always do at the beginning of Big Tug videos. Whoa, flashback. Football was pretty much front and center at the first Super Bowl because, yeah, no shit, they didn't really know what entertainment was back then. Even though the NFL began all the way back in 1920, the first inaugural how the f do you say that word? Inaugural Super Bowl didn't take place until 1967. And the reason the big game was created in the first place was because of a little upstart called the American Football League. The NFL had squashed out all of its competition for the first 4 decades of its existence, but the AFL, established in 1960, had some money to spend, brother. They wouldn't be stomped out easy.
Wait, so you're telling me that all the way back then, they pretty much had the same teams? Like, they didn't change the teams at all? Like, that's the Raiders logos, I'm pretty sure. Like, the same thing. Kelsey Chiefs or whatever. Kansas City Chiefs. That's the same logo. Like, they just didn't change it. That's kind of crazy.
It was run by a fella named Lamar Hunt, who was a son of a very famous oil tycoon out of Texas and was the heir to his massive fortune. The AFL was luring away top talent with massive contracts, like giving college star Joe Namath a then unheard $427,000 salary. I didn't adjust that for inflation.
Also, if I rant, it's okay, because this needs to have commenting for it to be like an actual video. Instead, it's just not his videos. Like, if I rant, that's okay. Like, I need to rant for it to be a comment video. So I'm gonna rant. And that's like, I like ranting, so if you don't want to hear me ranting on the stream, just get out. That's what I'm saying. Just get out the stream. Honestly. Yeah, so I'm gonna be ranting. Like, this is gonna be like probably a 30-minute video when it's released. Because we're only 2 minutes in, and I've probably been watching this for about 6, probably, whatever.
That's probably pretty normal, but at the time that was insane. And they even gained a foothold in the television market with an exclusive $36 million deal with NBC. For a few years, the leagues tried to coexist, you know, tried to live together in harmony. They even had a gentleman's agreement where they decided they wouldn't poach talent from each other's leagues. But of course, like any peace treaty a white man signs, it didn't last for long. The owners of the teams became worried that if they started sniping each other's talents, bidding wars would start driving up players' salaries and hurting their bottom line. So in 1966, they decided to do the twin fusion move.
That's straight up soccer. Like, freaking people on soccer teams, it's just bidding wars. It's like, hey, I'll pay you $4 million to come on my team, and it'll be a good team. And then, like, 10 times worse team will ask, like, Neymar to join their team for, like, more money, and he'll join. And it's just, like, a 10 times worse team. Like, Anthony, he just transferred to Manchester United from this other team. That's nowhere as close as good as Manchester United. They probably paid him a lot, don't get me wrong. But still, he left a good team, my favorite team, Manchester United, for money. But, like, that team's probably not going to make as much money because they're not as good as the team. So, in the long run, he probably would have been better just staying with Manchester United.
And put their leagues together. But even before the leagues officially combined their business operations, they decided to take the step of unifying their brands by creating an AFL-NFL World Championship game. So in January of 1967, the world's first Super Bowl took place. So it would be hard to imagine just how insane the Super Bowl would become if you attended the first one, because this was a far cry from what we think of the Super Bowl as today. Well, it wasn't even close, not even a little bit. Today, tickets to the game cost around like $8,600 just to get a seat. Back in 1967, you could get a ticket for $6 or $12 if you wanted to bool out. And even if you adjust for inflation, that's still only...
Back then, $6 and $12 were more. Like, that's probably back then about $100, maybe $200. So still not as much, but still, it was more money back then. $6 got you a lot farther back then.
Only like $100 per ticket, and I'm pretty sure that's the cost of a stadium beer
nowadays.
But even at those incredibly cheap prices, there were about 32,000 empty seats in the stadium for numero uno. No one really gave a shit about the Super Bowl. The first Super Bowl, no one really cared at all. At least not like they do today, and they tried to make things better, like...
Well, yeah, because, like, it's just football, and a lot of people that watch the Super Bowl don't watch for football. They just watch it for halftime like I do. Or they watch it just because their dad's making them watch it, or whatever. Back then, it was just football, so people weren't watching it as much. It's not entertaining. Because a lot of Americans don't even like football. They just like how it's like, how they promote it and stuff makes it entertaining.
They tried to zhuzh up the halftime show, and that was a disaster. It featured 2 college marching bands and a drill team from a local high school. A local goddamn high school. But don't worry, we have a surprise act that's gonna save the show. Guest trumpeter Al Hirt. You know Al Hirt. You guys love Al Hirt, right? Just for context, if you don't know about Al Hirt, that makes complete sense. He wasn't even cool at the time. This wasn't Miles Davis or John Coltrane playing the trumpet in front of everybody. Al Hirt played Dixieland jazz, like the shit you hear in the back of like really silly blooper reels. Like no one was into this. And for the grand finale, they had a fantastic idea. At the end of the game, they released 10,000 helium balloons and a bunch of pigeons, like 100 pigeons. Not the Blue Angels, but it's something. So yeah, a far cry from the current Super Bowl model that we have today. And like, also, we called it the Super Bowl retroactively. Yeah, that was not the name of the event until 3 Super Bowls in. Lamar Hunt called the game the Super Bowl in interviews, claiming he was inspired by the Whammo brand Super Bowl his kids were playing with at the time. And the name wasn't even popular at the time. Like, the people in the NFL and the fans thought it was fucking stupid, but the press loved it, so we stuck with it. Now it is the Super Bowl. But where do you go when you start at the Mariana Trench of bottoms? Well, surely nowhere but up. From its humble beginnings, the Super Bowl slowly became an American institution. Of the 10 most watched TV broadcasts in American history, 9 of them are the Super Bowl. The only thing in history that Americans watched more than the big game was the Apollo 11 landing, and they just tuned in because they were sure they were going to watch people die, and that's kind of why people tuned into the Super Bowl in the first place. The game has even gone global, broadcasting live to over 195 countries or territories in over 25 languages. The Super Bowl's popularity seemed to be a steady trajectory upward, and there's an argument to be considered that its popularity is completely tied with an
Fashion,
abundance of
so no.
consumerism. And if you thought I was going to do a whole Big Tug episode on the Super Bowl and not mention the horrors of capitalism, what the f do you think I'm going to do here? The more popular the Super Bowl has become, the more advertisers are willing to spend on it. And all that leads to more than $17 billion spent by consumers in the United States on Super Bowl related purchases. That being like the food you get for the game, or like a jersey you get for your dad, or like the streaming service you decide to sign up for because that's what the game's going to be on this week. The NFL needs to figure out streaming, Jesus Christ. Not to mention the economic impact for the host city that can reach upwards of $1 billion. And now we're at the part where the Super Bowl has officially grown out of its toddler clothes. It needs it's exploding. It's so ubiquitous and overreaching that even if you don't watch the sport, you end up going to a Super Bowl party because that's just what you do. And because of that, a lot of people see it as well, it's just a party to a lot of people. And that pisses off the people who actually give a shit about the sport. But let's just go over some of the data to really show the disparity. 75% of Americans plan on watching the Super Bowl. That's 75, but only 38% of them actually give a shit about the sport. So it's a weird, God, that's a weird disparity between jocks and nerds. You know what I mean? According to surveys, an overwhelming majority of Americans are more excited for the halftime show, commercials, and drinking. It makes sense that Super Bowl Sunday is overshadowed by the party itself, because like the only day Americans eat more food
and the Super Bowl
is on Thanksgiving. We eat so much food on Super Bowl Sunday. 11.2 million pounds of chips are dipped into 8 million pounds of guacamole. 12.5 million pizzas are ordered. Over 1.45 billion wings are devoured, and approximately 14 billion burgers are burgered. Why did I say burgered? And to wash it all down, approximately 50 million cases of beer are sold. God, doesn't that stat just want to? Don't you want to get behind the wheel of a car? But I mean, if you're trying to get someone into Super Bowl Sunday, this amount of food and booze is a surefire way to get anyone hyped up for the season. Everyone loves an excuse to party, and that's pretty much what the Super Bowl has become. In fact, 16.1 million Americans plan to call off from work the next day. 6.4 million workers plan on going into work late, and approximately 6 million employees will call in sick. And I don't know what this does to the economy, but it cannot be good. All told, the financial impact from our collective super hangover is estimated to cost companies around $6 billion. Okay, so I put it in the script. I didn't remember that, so I'm glad I got that answer immediately. Honestly, I don't really care about the bottom line of business daddies. I don't really care what happens to them, but I do find it interesting that Super Bowl Sunday turns a bunch.
Wait, sorry. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say that I was saying that like a lot of these videos you'll see are straight up just scripted. Like, that's not a bad thing. You can script this stuff. You need to script half the time. But, like, I'm just saying, like, Big Tug script. Curtis Connor. I love him. He usually has a script. Danny Gonzalez. He has a script. So it took me so long to say that, by the way. I was literally trying to set up something, too, at the same time, but
of seemingly normal people into absolute monsters. As someone who, look at me, doesn't really care about football. I don't want to shock you, but I mean, Jesus Christ. But when you go to these parties, you're gonna have to navigate certain types of people in order to get out of there alive. So I've broken down the types of people you're gonna meet into categories, and I'm calling it Big Tug's Big Game Party Archetypes, which is BT, BG, PA. I don't know. I could have done that better. So up first, the one person you really got to worry about are the actual football fans. They're different. So actual football fans recognize each other in two distinct ways.
I'm gonna piss a lot of people off right now, but most football fans are dickheads. Just gonna say that.
Either by dress code, being like a jersey, but not like you can't just like pick up any jersey. It has to be like a vintage logo or like a player that like only, it's like, you know, a deep cut. Or they recognize each other by like when someone sits down and they're all watching the game and they're actually watching, and then they start talking ball knowledge. For example, one of them might say, wow, I can't believe the D is running a 2-high nickel shell against the PFF's highest ranked tight end tandem. No f***ing clue what any of that means. But if someone says that, you know they're in the know. These people will band up together for the rest of the night and kind of just shit on everyone else who's not paying attention. And, okay, so, like, it's easy to hate on these people because we outnumber them at this point, but, like, it's their big day.
I think it's because they're trying to brag, be like, yeah, I know a lot about this sport. But like in reality, no one really cares at all. Like no one cares if they know the sport, to be honest. So also, Pablo, I'm just gonna say stuff in the middle just so I can add stuff to the video. I just want to make sure it's like my video, not just a random person like copying over Big Doug. Because don't get me wrong, I love Big Doug, but the reacting thing is I don't show my face, so it's like I gotta show something. What just happened? Don't know what that was.
Let's not be dicks, okay? And they're super important because the majority of the night is watching a football game, and if you don't know what's going on, you're gonna need them to clue you in. You're gonna need them to dumb it down for you. So be kind, offer to get them a beer every time you get up from the couch, just really keep it low-key. They're gonna talk a lot of shit to you. You just gotta handle that because you need to figure out what the is going on. The worst thing you can do to these people, though, is talk about the commercials. They hate that. They don't, oh my god, if you ask them what they think about that commercial, they'll kill you.
The commercials are honestly the best part. I might come off as like a football hater. I'm not a football hater. I just don't like. Well, yes, I am a football hater. Damn, I'm a football hater. And I live in America, so that's kind of crazy. But I'm just saying, I feel like football are kind of dickheads. Just saying.
You with their eyes. And also, it must be said that Super Bowl commercials are not what they used to be in the early 2000s and 2010s. They've fallen from grace extremely, so it's not that big of a deal anymore, but still, don't mention it to them, okay? Now, this next group of people are gonna seem like the first group of people, but they are distinctly different, and these are the degenerate gamblers, okay? Degenerate gamblers and the Super Bowl go hand in hand. It's like, ebony and ivory. Last year, 26 of American adults, nearly 68 million people placed a wager on the game. And the total amount of these wagers is approximately $23 billion. That's a lot of shoe money that their people's children's need. So that being said, statistically, there's gonna be at least one degenerate gambler sitting next to you at a party. Now, once again, you'll notice them, and they're gonna be yelling at the TV just like the sports fans, but they're gonna have esoteric knowledge about the game. They're gonna have knowledge about really extremely minute things because they placed a 10-leg parlay.
Honestly, the best type of gambling might be betting on sports teams. Because, first of all, let's do this. Like, with all the other slot machines, you have barely any chances because there's so many ways it could go. And, like, half of them are rigged. With gambling on sports teams, if it's just two people playing, you gamble on that thing first. If you know nothing about the game, it's pretty much a 50-50 chance. Because it's two teams. But then, let's say one team's honestly ass and the other's not. Just pick that one. So, if you're going to gamble, I'm not saying gamble. Do not gamble. Do not gamble. I'm saying if you are, like, sports might be the way to go.
Parlay on very specific moments in the game, and they need to really let those things fucking hit. And you can bet on anything at the Super Bowl. You can bet on the coin toss. You can bet on the color of Gatorade that's dumped on a dude's head at the end. And while the other dudes might get angry at the TV screen, they're not gonna get scared. And that's the difference between a degenerate gambler and a regular football fan. The degenerate gambler gets scared during the game. Because if certain things happen or certain things don't happen, they will not be able to eat tonight. It's just best to give these people a wide berth, or at the
also, it's better just to gamble, like, who wins. Well, if you gamble things in between, there's a chance you could lose some money, but also there's a chance you can gain money slowly. But if you win, if you gamble and if it wins or loses, you either lose all the money or win all the money. But if you do it in slow sections, or, like, slow things throughout the game, you could slowly get more money, but you might not win all the money. So you still get money. But then again, you can also not win anything, so.
Very least start gambling with them so they can cry on someone's shoulder who understands. And then finally, we have a group of people that a lot of us were, a lot of us are, and we need to discuss it. And these people are the sports ball people. We gotta stop doing this, guys. Listen, in 2013, this was a good joke. When you showed up to a sporting event and you were like, oh, I don't know anything about, what's this, sports ball? What are these jocks talking about? That joke's not funny anymore. It's actually really pathetic. You please understand that it is not good. These are the people who show.
It's like saying, oh, Mom, I hardly know her. That's not funny anymore. Love you, Curtis Connor, and you say it too much. Honestly. I love watching Curtis Connor. My favorite, honestly, I'm saying right now, my favorite people to watch, Joe Bart, he's a streamer, Big Tug, Curtis Connor, Kenny Gonzalez, those are some good people to watch. Oh, and Tommy NFG, He's good.
Go up to the party and think they're better than everyone else because they don't care about football, and that makes them, I don't know, intelligent or have a higher level of intellect, I guess. And I was there. Listen, I was there. We were all Tumblr kids. We all get that, but you have to understand that not liking fun things doesn't make you interesting. It makes you boring. That's a really important fact of life that we all have to learn at one point. Don't talk about how the NFL's evil because of their concussion protocol. Don't talk about like everything I talked about with the money. Don't leave that shit at the door. So just knock it off, all right? We're done with that. But now that we've discussed all the weird people at the party, let's discuss the game itself. And I'm not going to talk about football because I don't know anything about that, but we can talk about the fanfare. Usually we pay extra money to avoid ads in America, like premium streaming services like Netflix or Extra Tug. You can go to extratug.com and see a bunch of fun, just fun. But Super Bowl commercials have become the cultural currency of water coolers and lunch breaks on the Monday after the game. And advertisers are willing to pay anything to get their product in front of hundreds of millions of eyeballs. During the first Super Bowl, a 30-second ad only cost.
First of all, that ad about the monkey, that was a good ad. Second of all, Blue Ranch Cheerios are so fucking good. Don't get me wrong, the red Doritos are good, but the Blue Ranch, oh my god. And just like regular corn chips dipped in like salsa. Oh.
$42,500. Today, a 30-second Super Bowl ad costs $7 million. That's about $233,333 per second on the TV. The buzz from commercials became such a big deal that in 1989, USA Today created the Super Bowl ad meter. It's a real-time survey that asks consumers how they felt about each Super Bowl ad. The results are used as a metric by many advertisers and consumers to see which company won the big game. And this, I mean, Jesus Christ, how dystopian is this? So, like, we're all, like, judging how well did you sell your product to me? More food for me, please. But even though these ads never topped the ad meter list, I'd be remiss not to mention the Bud Bowl. Variations of this ad ran during the Super Bowl from 1989 to 1997, featuring bottles of Budweiser and Bud Light playing a game of football against each other. And this is, I mean, these commercials are perfectly stupid. This is just like, this is what you expect to see on Super Bowl Sunday. The bottles are wearing helmets. The fans are cans. It's all perfect. It's all laid out before us. The Bud Bowl was America, unfiltered, golden roasted tobacco. So we get through the pregame some of the ads. Now it's time for the big thing that people mostly care about, which is the halftime show. The big kahuna, the thing that you can't believe how much.
Sorry, I'm gonna go on a rant, but this is so fucking stupid. 9 to 5 people. There's guys out there working their ass off every single day doing something, right? Don't get me wrong. Some YouTubers are hardworking, they're great. But a man can stand up with a script, right? And edit their videos, or pay someone to edit their videos, and make 10 times more than the person that works 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours a day. And like construction, okay, maybe not construction workers, they do make some good money, but even teachers, they make no money compared to like big time YouTubers. Like Mr. Beast might be spending his money on people, but he still got money, trust me.
Much money they spent on this goddamn thing. But it wasn't always a huge production. For the first several decades of its existence, the Super Bowl halftime show was primarily a showcase for marching bands. But then the Super Bowl 23 halftime show was completely unhinged. It was broadcast in, quote, 3D and featured an Elvis impersonator named Elvis Presto. Finally, at Super Bowl 25 with Whitney Houston, they figured out the formula. Use pop stars. Just use goddamn pop stars. Today, performing at the halftime show is a bucket list item for any pop star trying to make their way in this world, but it's more about legacy and exposure. Because this gig does not pay that much, I found out. You don't earn a single cent doing the halftime show. None of the celebrities have ever earned any money doing that. However, generally, performers will see a boost in their streams and album sales over 300%, so it evens out. At one point, the NFL even tried to get performers to pay to get on the halftime show. But even with a very weird business model, there's no denying just how grand a spectacle the halftime show can be. I mean, Prince performing Purple Rain while it was raining was generational peak. And then there was the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson nipple thing where she showed her nipple. That was weird. And of course, the Katy Perry halftime performance, which birthed the meme of the left shark who had no clue what he was doing, and I love that little guy. And then to finish it out, there is the game. the football game. And like I said, I don't care about it. Most people don't care about it, but to the people who do, it means a lot. So just give them their space. But statistically, throughout a football game, only 11 minutes of the actual game are played. I like hockey, and a lot of hockey is played during the game of hockey. What the is that number? I don't know how you have the time to decide who's the better team in only 11 minutes. That makes no sense to me. And what is special teams?
Wait,
I just want to talk about how football confuses the shit out of me as an absolute dork on the internet. Listen, I'm trying to learn, but like every time there's a play is done and someone explains, there's like a billion plays that you can do. And then there's a bunch of types of penalties that don't make any sense to me. There always seems to be a new rule that, oh, you can't do that. That's a rule. Tom Brady made sure of that. And when your team loses, your city gets burned down. And when your team wins, you burn down your city. If you're Philadelphia, just doesn't seem like fun at all. I'd say we should have two separate things at this point. We should have a Sunday in February where everyone, just has a party, and a Sunday where the game happens, and those are completely different things. Let the mass media sell you ads during the party. Just everyone sit down and just zone out watching the TV. Let the football people watch football and gamble their life savings away. I think that's what it should be at this point. Anyway, no conclusion. I guess that was a conclusion. Like, comment, and subscribe. New videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Shout out to the Extra Tuglets, though. They're the real heroes of the football game. They went to extratug.com and they subscribed for an extra video.
That was a good goddamn video. CM Shockwave, signing out.